This organisation has blood on its hands. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's dreadful. My heart goes out to the family of that lady. I believe that the ambulance service made it very clear that we haven't delayed any ambulances.
Well, I could assure you that's not the case with the Kent Ambulance Service, and if you want to talk about the London Fire Brigade, we've got statements from them that although your colleagues do move, it takes them minutes to move, and that delays the fire truck. And in other instances, they've had to take longer journeys because their sat-nav has said that road is blocked. You're playing with people's lives, so I ask again, what gives you the right?
I'm just a mother. I'm here standing up for the future of my son. Did you know that 100,000 people die every year in the UK because of air pollution? That's 11 people an hour. What about the families of those 11 people an hour?
How is that helped by possibly people not being rescued from a fire in central London? How is that? Let me ask you this. If it was your son, and clearly you're very devoted to him, if your son was in that building and your colleagues didn't let the fire truck through, or an ambulance with your son in the back, would you accept that?
Look, obviously, as a mother, I wouldn't. But can I ask you a very important question, Nick?
Can I just? Yes, you can. And I'm pleased that Nive would feel the same. So you, as a mum, say no, you couldn't accept that. Why should other mothers accept that?
Well, luckily, we haven't had that situation, and I pray to God.
Oh, so it's luck. Okay, so it's just luck. Anyway, you did want to ask me a question. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
So, what we get all the time is everyone wants to talk about our tactics and our methods. And we hear that people like the message. So why are we not talking about the message? Why are we not talking about 11 people an hour that are dying in the UK?
Because people broadly, not everybody, people broadly are mixture of disgust and appalled at most of your tactics. For instance, smearing the face of a waxwork of King Charles, someone who was on to the issues of the environment, respectfully, before you were even born, I suggest. Why would you want to spoil his waxwork model? What does that achieve? Throwing mashed potato, I'm so sorry, that wasn't in this country, I apologise. Throwing soup over a priceless painting. People are appalled by this. That's why they're not talking about your message, because they're appalled by your tactics.
Oh, but we are getting our message out there. And I mean...
But you just said you weren't.
Phoebe said very great words. What is worth more, art or life? And let's face it, it was some glass that had some soup thrown at it. And I think the King Charles one was very clever because they actually used his words. They used the Queen's words, saying the time for words is over. Now is the time for action. That our late Queen used.
Might I ask the age of your son? You don't have to answer this.
He's nearly 7.
He's nearly 7. Are you prepared to go to jail and leave your son with your partner, your husband, whoever it might be, your wife? I've no idea. Are you prepared to go?
I'm a single mum, so I'm going to try very hard not to. But the time for standing by and watching my son's future be stolen from him has gone. So you can join in civil resistance against the corrupt government without getting arrested.
But I'm putting it to you that many of my listeners will support the idea, and I don't mean this personally, but people such as yourself actually do go to jail, effectively straight to jail. Would you be prepared to do that and leave your son with your mother, your relatives, your whatever it might be?
I would find that personally heartbreaking, as would my son, but it would be something I would be willing to do because I want him to have
finally, lastly, and I'm very grateful you've come on the phone. Oh, actually, we're speaking over video link. Can I put it to you? If you're prepared to go behind bars and leave a young man without his mother for a period of months or whatever, Lora, this has become a cult now, not a cause, because you're putting it above the interests of your own boy. You're a very bright woman, and I don't say you've been brainwashed because you're too smart, but some of your colleagues are brainwashed. This is cultish behaviour. Lora.
Well, I would ask you, what cult in the history of cults are backed by the world's independent scientists? We've got the UN report. Have you read the latest
your
UN
message?
Report?
I agree with your message. This summer was brutal. It's extraordinary that people were going around in polo shirts yesterday. We're virtually into November. When I'm much older than you, I've never known it like this. It's extraordinary. I'm with you. But why the hell would you want your son to be on his own? I know he wouldn't be on his own while you're in jail. That's why I'm saying to you again, it is a cult.
I absolutely don't want that to happen. I really hope that doesn't happen. I have done things that are illegal, and I won't be doing that anymore, but I will be protesting. I will be joining in civil resistance.
Why will you not commit illegal acts anymore, Laura, if I might ask that?
because I don't want to risk being remanded in prison. So I don't want to. If it happens, it happens. But I won't be doing anything illegal for that to happen. But I will be joining in civil resistance against the government. And also, Nick, if you're saying
no one's called me that since my mother. That took me back a few years. I can't. Whoa, that was and that was when I was naughty. By the way, I used to get called Nick. Anyway, Laura, on you go.
Okay, can I just say, Nick, that we're going to be in Westminster every day from 11, and we hope that people will see what we're doing, and we start.
Do you mean blocking the road, Laura? Do you mean blocking the road?
If more people join us, we won't need to block the road. So if people agree with the message, then I urge them, join us, and we won't need those methods anymore.
Okay. What would the reaction be if I stopped covering your colleagues' work?
It would depend what you covered instead, Nick. If you started to cover the climate breakdown as it's happening now and as it's affecting all of us and as it's causing extreme problems all over the world right now, people dying every 48 seconds in the Horn of Africa, it's a threat to our food supplies. Anything that threatens our food and water supplies is a threat to our safety, our economy. If only news outlets would cover it like that and keep covering it every day like they did COVID, like they do the sport, then we would be delighted to stop all this. This is not about us wanting attention.
Oh, no, stop it. Please. No, don't.
Nick,
no, I'm so sorry. No, I'm sorry, respectfully. People running around throwing orange confetti on a court, but please don't say that's not about gaining attention. Please. I don't care what you treat me. Don't treat my listeners with such contempt.
No, not at all. That's what it takes, Nick. You've just said it's
You're
fine,
not seeking attention.
No, what we want to do is get a discussion on here about climate breakdown. We do not want to talk about our tactics. Whenever you get one of us on here, we say we don't want to talk about our tactics.
Why not?
We want to talk about climate breakdown.
Why should you dictate the terms of the conversation?
Because the problem is the media doesn't cover what needs to be covered. It covers what's interesting.
Dear God,
in news.
so now you're the editors as well, are you?
No, that's what we've
This
learned.
never ends.
You cover what's interesting, you don't cover what's important. What is important is climate breakdown and the fact that our government is intent on opening new oil, gas and coal fields when every scientist in the world...
Do you have any...
screaming, no new oil or
I know,
gas.
we've been down there.
You dismiss it, Nick. You've just dismissed it.
Yes, I have dismissed it. I have dismissed this because of the actions that you take that are inherently selfish, extraordinary, that you think you have the right to disrupt an afternoon's tennis as you try to disrupt a morning's cricket, as you disrupted games of snooker. It is unbelievably selfish, and I really hope, if I was to just stop covering, just stop oil, and you went away, I would celebrate. It would be a marvellous day because I find your tactics, not you personally, depressingly dreary, middle class and out of touch. A final response from you and then I'm going to calls.
Wouldn't it be wonderful
if you stopped? Beyond wonderful.
If we had a reason to stop, that is that the government stopped all new.
Well, I think we should stop. I think we should stop coverage of Just Stop Oil.
That's all we want.
What you want to stop coverage
instead? Cover the climate instead. The government.
Don't tell me how to edit a show. Thank you. Don't tell me how to edit a show. Thank you. I'm grateful for your time. No, I've had enough lectures now. Thank you. Goodbye. Why did you target the Chelsea Flower Show, though?
Well, one reason is because there's appalling greenwashing is going on at something which is supposed to be, a joyful event talking about growing and flowers, etc. And as a plant lover, a gardener and a grower myself, Nick, it's very, very clear, isn't it? We're carrying on as if nothing is going on here. And the last guy you had on was talking about how the show is supporting recycling. We cannot recycle our way out of this disaster. We are in an existential crisis.
Your colleagues attacked a sustainable garden.
They didn't attack anything, Nick. They put biodegradable cornstarch.
They could be charged with criminal... I'm sorry. So if they face potential charges of criminal damage, I think I can call that an attack. What would you call it?
I would call it a desperate, peaceful plea.
Well, that doesn't exist in the statute book, so we'll deal with criminal damage.
Well, I noticed, Nick, that in the clip that you played before you had the previous speaker and myself on, you didn't play the full clip, which towards the end included some people applauding and cheering and saying,
give me a break, please,
no,
Zoe. Come on.
The
majority of people are absolutely appalled by these stunts.
That's not true.
Don't tell me what's true and what's not true because a few people might have cheered.
Okay,
the reality is expressed by the people shouting for security, by calling your college, I'm sorry to use colleagues, words such as prats, and just asking them to stop. They speak for the majority of people. Please, because a couple of people might have joined in and said, well done, don't delude yourself that you have growing support. The stunts that you are pulling, such as the snooker, the Chelsea Flower Show, the various bridges in London, I'm delighted to say public support is draining away from a very, very relevant cause, and you are putting yourself on a peninsula, and you deserve it. You are at odds with the public. Will you, for the sake of sanity, stop?
We will stop when the government make a statement. We will stop when the government make a statement.
Do you honestly think, Ms. Cohen, do you honestly think Rishi Sunak will think, oh my God, the Chelsea Flower Show has been attacked by orange paint or dye or whatever it is, cornstarch. I must take action today. Are you that deluded?
We're not deluded. We know that unless we cause disruptive action, you guys don't talk about the climate crisis. You don't.
We talk about it all the time. The argument is one.
No, you don't.
Why disrupt? Why can 3 people choose to disrupt the enjoyment of thousands?
Nick,
I'm glad you laugh. I'm glad you think it's funny. I'm glad you think it's funny because I'm sure the Royal Bank of Canada can afford it. I'm absolutely sure. But the people, the men and women who've toiled many, many hours to put that together, and the people who might like to have seen it, I read that some of it is now permanently damaged. I'm glad you think it's funny because it's people efforts that you've destroyed.
How much did you cover the news last week that the world's leading scientists say that we're going to go past the very dangerous 1.5 degree
No, why don't you answer my
by
question first, respectfully, Ms. Cohen? Why don't you answer my question first? Why can 3 people destroy the enjoyment of thousands? And then I'll answer your question.
Because billions of people are going to be put outside the conditions that are livable in the lifetime of children.
It is like a faith, isn't it? It's like a...
No.
Can I ask you finally?
It's like believing that smoking causes cancer, which it does.
Can I ask you finally, if the courts actually woke up to this, and I know that one of your colleagues, Stephanie Golder, is a repeat offender, would putting these people behind bars stop this, do you imagine, Ms. Cohen?
No, of course it won't.
Oh,
what do you expect people to do? When they know what's
not disrupt the enjoyment of thousands, that's what I expect people to do. Thousands who attend and millions who watch on TV. Sorry, a final word to you. Have you seen what's happening in Emilia-Romagna in northern Italy at the moment? The lives. These are this is the flooding. Just to explain to my listeners. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, tens of thousands of people have been evacuated. I recently met a lovely young woman, an Italian woman, whose family. From that area. She had tears in her eyes when she told me that her family and their whole home are being flooded out and there was nothing she could do about it.
Okay.
What do you think a little bit of biodegradable cornstarch on a garden funded by greenwashing fossil fuel funders is worse than that?
All right.
Do you really think that?